I don't really think I need that. Okay, good evening. Okay, I'm here to talk to you about lifting. As we know, there's a lot of lifting accidents. Okay, and normally accidents to involve lifting become quite serious. Okay, so who's involved in lifting here? Everybody? Or have you got some aspect to lifting? Okay, so how do we deem that your people are competent? By looking at a certificate? By doing on-site assessments? Or do we just presume they are competent because they've been doing it many years?
The third one.
Pardon?
The third one.
It's a very hard one. You can't prove. To come on a amount of time that people come on courses and say, when I pass this course, will I be competent? Well, no. You've done the training, which is a very small part of being competent. What's the definition of competence?
The ability to apply knowledge on the work. He knows his limitations.
Well, yes, that's a good one. Knows his limitations. Okay. Have you heard of skate?
Yeah.
Okay. So it needs somebody with necessary skills, the knowledge, the ability, the training, and the experience. Okay. All them make a competence. It's you as the employer that deems competence, not me as a trainer, not the person. Okay. So I'm just going to run through some because I don't know how many people have got knowledge of lifting operations. So there's quite a big step down. We've got the appointed person, we've got the lift supervisor, we've got the mobile crane operator or crane operator. We've also got the riggers. Okay, all of them need to be deemed competent. That's by yourself. So there are people there. The appointed person. Anybody know what a appointed person does?
He's the one who plans the lifting.
He's the plans the lifting. He writes the method statement. He does the site visits. He chooses the crane. Okay. What about a lift supervisor? He follows the method statement. Okay. And supervises the lift. Make sure it's carried out as per method statement. And mainly to stop the job if unsafe. Okay. Or the riggers. They rig the load. Pick the load up. Okay. But they still have to follow the method statement. And what I notice a lot of problem is, not everybody signs on to the method statement. If we sign to a method statement, what are we doing? So if I read a method statement and sign to it, what am I saying I'm doing?
You understood it.
I understood it. Okay, so I'm saying I understand it and I agree with it. Okay, if you don't sign onto a method statement, that method statement is worthless. Okay, because it comes to an accident, I didn't understand it. Nobody told me that. So you need to make sure, that's one of the things we need to make sure, that everybody involved in the lifting operation signs onto the method statement. It's a legal document, and the first sign of accidents, that's what they pull straight away. Okay, so you need to make sure your appointed person is actually doing a good method statement, and everybody's signing onto it, or that becomes a problem. Crane operators. Okay, I'm going to go through it anyway. How do you know a crane operator is competent? This is a big bone of contention for me at the moment. So I'm a crane operator as well. I've been operating since 2010. Okay, so how do you know a crane operator is competent? He's got a card?
There must be an assessment.
Okay, well, yeah. So he's done training. He's got a card that says mobile crane operator. How many different types of mobile crane do you think there is out there?
Different cranes are there.
You've got levers, you've got D-mags, you've got Terex, you've got Chinese cranes. Okay, so you've got all these different types of cranes ranging from 15 ton up to 1200 ton. So if you've got a mobile crane card, does it mean you can drive all of them? No. What we do in the UK now, okay, they have to have a certificate, which is a very good idea. For every model of crane they operate, they have a certificate saying they've been trained up, or familiarization training. Okay, they've been familiarized and they're competent with that crane. Otherwise, I'm just giving a card saying I'm a mobile crane operator. I've been it for quite a while. I couldn't operate every crane out there, so that does not make me competent. That means I've got an initial card, but there should be a certificate to accompany that card to say that he's actually been familiarised on that on them. And there should be a regular on-site assessments. Your health and safety professionals, do you assess people doing the lift? Do you walk around assessing them? And do you document yourself assessing them? Or is it just a visual as you're walking around? Documented. It should be documented. You should do at least 6 monthly or yearly assessment, looking around at your people, making sure they're competent, especially if you have new starters. Okay, then we should do that. The appointed person then, okay, he's ultimately in charge of the lifting operation. So when the appointed person is responsible, the crane arrives at site. So you order a crane, it drives into your site. As soon as it goes or enters your site gates, you are now responsible for that crane, or the appointed person is, or the company. So if your appointed person has not planned the lift and the crane falls off the road on the way to the lift area, then you will be billed for that crane, okay, and any injuries occurred. So it's not just about getting to the lift area, doing the lift and getting rid of the crane. It starts from when the crane arrives at site, travels through the site, setting the crane up, which with big cranes we know can take a lot of rigging, doing the lift and de-rigging. You and your company are responsible, or especially health and safety people, for that crane until it leaves that site. Okay? That's why we must make sure we check method statements. Who checks the method statements here? Anybody? So you get a method statement. Do you oversee it? Do you check it to make sure it's safe? Okay, so you need to make sure that all the lift areas are there. How do you know the crane won't fall through the floor? So you drive, cranes are very heavy as we know. Okay, how do you know they're not going to fall through the floor? Pardon? No, an LMI, that's a load moment indicator. Okay, that's not how it works. I'm on about the weight of the crane. So your crane drives down your site road. How do you know it's not, the road's not going to collapse? How do you know the road can take the weight of the crane?
Soil investigation of the project we take, and then the crane which is coming, that manuals are there, or the cranes is coming, what is the specification by RTA they have signed in the card.
Right, okay, so the ground bearing capacity. Is that, okay, there, yeah, okay, the ground bearing capacity. So we get that ground bearing capacity before the appointed person actually writes a method statement. So that is another thing that's lacking in some sites, is a ground bearing capacity. Who's heard of CDM regs? Most people? Or nobody? Construction Design and Management regulations. They're not applicable, but they will be coming, or something. It's down to the main contractor to provide that, okay, the ground bearing capacity. The appointed person can't write a method statement until he's got the ground bearing capacity.
It's mandatory in UAE to have that ground bearing capacity for that. Every project, it's mandatory because then only this mobilization permit has been issued by government.
But that's a refreshing change, because yes, it should be mandatory, or you can't work out the pad sizes.
Actually, it's not named as that, but it's named as soil investigation.
Soil investigation. It doesn't matter what it's named at, long as the AP has got that before he starts. Even travelling the crane will put more weight through the roads than the actual pads will. So we need to make sure we've got that. So the appointed person would need that first. The appointed person will obviously write the method statement, what you'll be checking health and safety, making sure it complies with all regulations, approved code of practices. That's his main job. Okay? If you don't agree with it, technically, he should actually submit the method statement 2 weeks prior to the lift, if possible. I know it's not always possible. So you can have a look at it, pick any faults, send it back and say we want this changing. So that's what he should be doing. The appointed person takes total responsibility, but the employer or the main contractor still has responsibility. If anything goes wrong, they come to the appointed person. Okay? So he's ultimately responsible for that lift. So we must make sure that the appointed person is competent through experience. Just because they've been on a 5-day training course or whatever training course it is, okay, it doesn't make them competent. So you need to keep checking this. But the appointed person will choose a crane. He'll do a site visit. He'll choose a crane. This is how important his job role is. He'll then work out the slings. He'll work out the boom length. Everything about that lift he's worked out. So do you just trust him blindly, or do you check his work? So the appointed person wrote a method statement. Do you trust him blindly, or do you check his work? Somebody should check his work, because at the end of the day, he's only human, and people do make mistakes. Okay, so there should be somebody checking him, really. Regulation 8. Who's heard of this? Somebody must have heard of Lola. I'm hoping you've heard of Lola. Okay, so lifting operation, lifting equipment regulations. Although it doesn't apply and it's a British regulation, your regulations are very, very similar. Okay, in it states that all lifting operations must be properly planned by a competent person. So that's every single operation. That is regardless of the weight. It can be 500 kilos or it can be 500 ton. it still must have a method statement and risk assessment, and it must be planned by a competent person. It is not, you see somewhere say it's a critical, non-critical lift, and it goes on the weight. Okay, there is some sites I've been to that said anything below 10 tonne is non-critical. Anything above 10 tonne is critical. So Aisha, if I dropped 8 tonne on your head, what would it do to you? Well, if I dropped 10 tonne on your head, it'd have exactly the same effect. Okay, so it's regardless of the weight. Appropriately supervised. Who should supervise the lifting operation? A lift supervisor. It used to be an experienced rigger, but now it's a lift supervisor. What about the appointed person? Can he supervise the lifting operation? Is he yes or he's not supposed to? No. Okay. Not unless he's had rigging experience. Because how can you supervise something you don't know anything about? So the lift supervisor should have rigging experience. Okay. The appointed person may not have no rigging experience. It may just come and done a course and write the method statements. So you need to make sure. So it's not a simple case that the appointed person can actually supervise the lifting operation. He can if he's got rigging experience and is quite aware. If he's not, then it has to be a lift supervisor. So the appointed person. Sorry, who's heard of BS 7121? Anybody? The British Standard or the Code of Practice? It's a very, very good code of practice. Okay? It gives you a lot of information about lifting operations and cranes. But the management is planning the operation, a selection provision of usable, suitable crane and equipment. How do we know a crane is suitable?
There must be an inspection, there must be an assessment, there must be a document or...
There must be an inspection. What about the inspection? So a crane comes to your site, what are you looking for? What documentation should you be looking for as health and safety professionals?
There must be a third-party certification, there must be inspection certification, you may inspect yourself, there are
It should be a crane that should be able to do the job. That's what it is.
And think of the crane first. Think of the documentation. So, like I said, how often should we have a crane inspection?
usually, every 6 months there is a legal requirement, however monthly and pre-inspection.
It's actually 12 month a legal requirement. It's 6 months if it's lifting people. Okay, but some do it 6 months, which is all the better. Okay. What about the pre-use inspection? This is one of the biggest problems. How often should a pre-use inspection be done?
Actually, normally,
Daily.
lifting operation,
Daily.
there should be a visual inspection for crane
Yeah.
and the lifting gear.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the documentation, the crane is documented. So it's basically it's a pre-use inspection as well as the 12-monthly the third-party inspection. This pre-use inspection must be checked. Okay, and it must be made sure it's done. It's one of probably its most important inspection because it's done daily, but it's one of the most abused inspections because the operator sits in his cab and goes tick, 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 tick all the way down. It doesn't actually carry out the inspection. Okay, so you need to make sure that's one of the most important checks you can do. Yes, the 12 monthly is important, but the pre-use inspection is even more important. I know it's down to the crane supervisor, but health and safety professionals, you should also make sure it's done as well. Okay, because it gets done daily, so they will pick faults up. Right, one person's appointed to act on his behalf. Basically, the appointed person is the most responsible. Who's managers or site managers here? Anybody a site manager? Okay, maybe one day you work hard, you get promoted. Or demoted, whichever that one is. Okay, so the site manager, okay. He will then say to the appointed person, okay, we require a lift. He will then plan the lift. Okay. The site manager still has a responsibility and a duty of care. Okay, he's not relinquished all and said it's all the appointed person's fault. Okay, but his main one is management of cranes, management of personnel. So how many personnel do we need? What kind of experience and what qualifications do they need? Management of site of lifting operations. This is another massive reason accidents happen. What do we need to do about the site of lifting operations? And as health and safety professionals, you should know this. Okay, so you've got a lifting operation going on. So that's our site of lifting operations. What should we be doing? Barricading off. How many times have you seen people walking under loads or no barricades near a lift area? Many times. There's quite a few people killed. There was one killed in London last year. Okay, cranes flew round over a pedestrian area, which should have never done. It dropped a ton of bricks on this lady and killed her. Okay, Luckily she had a, well not luckily, but she had a daughter with her in a pushchair and the daughter escaped. That is how easy it is. When is it acceptable to walk under a load? When can we walk under a load? Never, okay? This is what you really need to drum into your people about walking under loads or going into barriers, okay? We can't just walk into a lift area. We contact the lift supervisor and ask if we can come in, because he's in charge of that lifting operation, okay? So it's really, really important we barricade it off. And manage it with the slinging. Okay, the slinger, okay, you may not be riggers or slinging, just another word for it, okay, but your supervisor, this is why he needs to be competent at rigging, because he's supervising rigging and he's checking, making sure the rigger's actually doing his job. So if he's not competent at rigging, he can't supervise the lifting operation. It's all part of the same qualification. So risk assessments, you should all be professionals at risk assessments, okay, so I don't need to go on about that one. Selection of cranes, lifting gear, instruction, supervision, consultation, inspection and maintenance, reporting procedures, organisation control and stopping the job if unsafe. Okay, very, very important. That's what I think I'm going to say now. Okay, so stopping the job if unsafe. Regardless if you're on a financial penalties, if you drop behind or you're just falling behind, okay, we must stop that job. And you must give everybody a power, including your riggers, your lift supervisor, your mobile crane job. Anyone can stop the job at lifting. It's not just we'll carry on with the job, we'll get it done, it'll be okay. Okay, they must be aware if it doesn't follow the method statement and it's unsafe, then the lift must stop. It just can't carry on. Okay. So the crane supervisor or lift supervisor. Okay, this is another thing. This crane supervisor, it needs to be competent. So the appointed person gives him his duties. How it works, the appointed person, I give you my method statement, okay? You read it, say, okay, that I understand, I agree with that. You sign it, the appointed person disappears. Is that acceptable?
No.
Why?
They both have duties.
No, he's not getting rid of it. All he's passing on is his duties, but not his responsibilities. It is acceptable, long as he's trained and competent. The appointed person is still responsible for the lifting operation and the method statement, but it doesn't have to be present. Because there's three classes of lift. There's basic, intermediate and complex. If it's a basic and intermediate lift, then he can pass his method statement over to a lift supervisor. He can then disappear and then go and do his other job. If it's a complex lift, as involves exceptional hazardous area, to...
We can delegate the responsibility, but not the accountability.
No, that's what it says there. Delegate his duties, but not his responsibility. He's still responsible for it.
The accountability, that means.
I know what accountability means.
Duty can be.
Okay, yes. Yes, so basically it can do that, but not for a complex lift. It's recommended that a complex lift, which is, like I said, something like a petrochemical plant, using 2 or more cranes, lifting people, the appointed person should be present on site. Okay, you cannot leave the lift supervisor. And this is only if you deem the lift supervisor actually capable. So the crane supervisor must be authorised and competent. So you're the one that's authorising him. Conversant with slinger, signal and crane duties, as in rigger, so he must understand how a crane works and he must understand about rigging. Trained in application of mobile cranes, erection, ground loadings, medically fit, capable of clear instructions and capable of assessing danger. That is your main problem, capable of clear instructions. Okay, so we've got crane drivers, we've got lift supervisors, we've got riggers. What's going to be the major problem? Communication. Okay? Different nationalities. So I hand a method statement to a rigger. Do you understand? Yes, and signs it. Okay, I just know that's happened because it's happened to me. Okay, so they will sign it. So how do you know? How are you going to deem that he does understand it? Asking questions, exactly. Confirmation questions. How we're slinging it. What boom length we're putting on. Okay, so confirmation questions, because they will just nod their head and say, yes, I understand, and they don't always. Crane operator, they'll all be over 18 anyway. So it must be specifically trained. As I said earlier, it should be trained on the model of crane that he's actually operating. Okay, not just have a general mobile crane license. I believe it's not law here that it has to be trained on each model, or is it? It's more site specific or company specific, but it really should be law that they get trained on each model of crane, because the difference is massive. Conversant with slinger signaller duty, so he should understand it and know all safety aspects of the machine. So he should have been trained properly. How do we know they're trained? Because he has a certificate. Okay. Where does he get his certificate from? Third party. Which third party?
Recognized one.
Pardon?
Recognized one.
The what, sorry?
I mean,
Recognise one. An approving body or a body. Okay. It's sort of getting that way now. Previously, it just produced a certificate made in somebody's shed. Okay, somebody's houses. Okay, there's no accreditation. It could have done it anywhere. This is the problem. He has a crane operator license or an appointed person certificate, but it's not valid because anybody could have done it. Okay, or there could be forgeries. Okay, I've seen people on an appointed person course over 3 days with 26 people on the course and they all passed. Okay, who's the appointed person? Anybody appointed persons there? Where did you do your course? Where did you do your course? TUV. Okay. Okay, no problem.
I was with it.
Okay, yes, I'm very good, aren't I? Thank you. Okay, 26 people on the 3-day course is impossible. Okay, it was a non-accredited course. Okay, doesn't get governed, doesn't get looked at, doesn't look at any of the trainers' qualifications. So it's very important they actually. I'm not just saying because I take LEA courses, but it must be some kind of governing body, be it MPAWS, LEA, CPCS, IPATH, okay? Somebody that you can say, you can check to make sure it's actually legit and a genuine certificate. Do you think we get many fake certificates? Has anybody come across any fake certificates? Okay, it was a truthful time. Has anybody got any fake certificates? Does anybody here have any fake certificates? No? Do you want to buy some? I'm joking, I haven't really got no fake certificates. Okay. Right, have you ever come across any? Have you ever found anybody's certificates to be fake or suspicious? What that for?
It was 3 years ago. I was working at project and one of the operator, I stopped him to work because he was an expired certificate. Within 3-4 hours I got the certificate.
Right.
And how I understood that background picture, it was from my side. I saw that his picture is taken on mobile and sent through email, and then later on in the evening I'm getting certificate.
Right.
So it was official and it was reported to the right person.
So you found one out. How many do you think get through?
Sorry?
How many? So you found one.
Yeah.
Okay, but how many do you think escape and get through without anybody noticing?
I believe the professionals who are sitting here, they are well aware how they can judge the fake certificates.
Yes, but there is plenty of certificates out there. I've just been told off because he's, well, I don't know if he's waving at me or just going 5-4 now, okay? Right, so the crane operator must be authorised, understand the full range of duties, aware of the effects of ground supports and the crane level and correct outrigger use. It's okay, sorry about this, I'm used to talking 5 days on end, so I do go on. Slinger signaller, over 16, trained, competent, medically fit, capable of judging distance, height, handling equipment. Established weights, balance load. Trained in slinging or rigging techniques and selection of legal gear and checking its equipment. Okay, that is a pre-use inspection. Okay, so you must be able to do the pre-use inspection.
Medically fit means what type of medical fitness it is?
It's just medically fit. You can walk, I suppose.
What medically? Several people are asking medically fit.
Just medically, if past the medical. Do you have a site medical? Do you have a site medical or a company medical?
Company medical.
That's medically fit. Past that, it's medically fit for the job. Okay. Right. That's me. Okay. That's a genuine LEA certificate. I know because I did it. This is what I'm selling later if anybody wants to buy any. Okay, so that's a genuine LEA one. Like I said, I've only got this because I do them, so I've got a copy of the LEA certificate. What you have to be careful of is this. What is that? It's a Lear logo, but underneath it, it says Accredited Training Company, okay, or course. Okay, so it's a genuine Lear certificate. That's what they look like. They'll have a name, a course, the test date, and expiry date, who did it. That's not a genuine one. Okay, that has a Lear logo, which you can get anybody with any good computer can do one of them. Okay, and it has no, well, it does have an expiry date, but you have to be very, very careful. And that one is what got brought to my attention the other day. Okay, it's a Lear certificate apparently, because he said he's done it there, and it's got my name on. And I didn't do the course. So this, if you get something like this, but look, somebody brought it to my attention and realised you're actually suspicious. But this is how easy it goes. I mean, because I didn't sign that, but somehow, I'm not a computer whiz kid, but I gather some people are. So he applied for a job as an appointed person, okay, who's planning the lift, and there's a risk of bringing your site down. And he actually, luckily, they thought it looked a bit suspicious, so they sent it to me, and I said, no, that was not me. Okay, but this is what I mean about fake certificates. So if you're in doubt, check. If it's a Lear, iPass, CPCS, NPAWS, they've all got a number on the phone number on the back or a database that you can actually check and make sure it's genuine. Okay, this is the importance of making sure it's actually a genuine certificate, as well as competent. You don't want somebody planning your lifts that suddenly they've just gone to and got a fake certificate or they've done a one-day course. Okay, that does not make them competent. It doesn't even make them do the required training. So just be very, very careful with them. Okay, right, I'm going to have to stop because it's really giving me dirty looks now. Okay, so anybody have any questions for me? I do apologise, I do go on a lot. Okay.